Welcome to the My Opinion Podcast, a show that focuses on leadership, life, and love to empower women around the world to be the best versions of themselves. The My Opinion Podcast is a weekly show with Maya's Motivation Monday, focusing on leadership topics for women, and special edition episodes that feature guest interviews and current events. Now, all in her opinion, here is your host, Maya Roffler.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Maya's Motivation Monday. I hope you guys are having a great start to your week, or if you're listening to this a little bit later in the week for motivation, I hope you are having an amazing day and week. So I'm going to talk about something that I've been reading about a lot and I'm a part of, and is a big part of me because I even talk about this in my intro to the podcast. It's obviously not me saying it, but it's something that I'm very passionate about. I'm a part of an amazing group of women that believe in this, and we live it every single day, and obviously I've put it in my intro for a reason. So today we're going to talk about women's empowerment. And there is some controversy about this, which I really didn't know about that. I thought women's empowerment was just, we are women and we stand together, all the hashtags that are out there that we put on our posts, women supporting women, fempreneur, all of this stuff, which is so important. And I have loved being a part of the community, especially with my podcast and also being the VP of a podcast for Boss Ladies Mindset. It's been incredible. It's been amazing. And the empowerment movement for women is so important. But I like to research and I like to read and I like to really just dive in and figure out what's going on in just the entire landscape for leadership, but obviously diving into my niche and what we talk about here is female leadership and how to be a better leader and really how to dive in, but even deeper than that, how to lead effectively remotely and in this climate. And of course I focus on women because I love you guys. But I found it interesting as I was diving a little bit deeper and reading through articles and searching topics. And I really wasn't planning on talking about women's empowerment, even though I talk about it all the time. But I didn't think I would focus on this. But I was inspired when I started reading so many articles about women, really amazing, intelligent women who don't like women's empowerment. They are turned off by it. They're turned off by the phrase. They're turned off by the entire just movement, which I was floored by. I couldn't believe it because I know what it means to me and I know how I feel about it. But I did see the other side and call that the empath in me, whatever it is, but I really did. So I really wanted to kick this off and talking about women's empowerment and really understanding, because you guys know I love a good definition. I was an English major in college. And I want to talk about, what does empower mean? What does that truly mean? And so this will help I think this helps me. It helped me at least, but I hope it helps you guys understand why some of these women are kind of rejecting this women's empowerment movement, which is a little odd to me, but I started to see their side. So what does empower mean? The definition of empower is to give someone the authority or power to do something. So when you think about that definition, okay, sure, I get it, but women's empowerment, empowering women, it means that we're giving women the authority to do something when you look at it from their side or that angle. And the light bulb was going off and I was like, I get this, or turning on, whatever you want to say. But I was like, I get this. I get why, women who have really dug into this and understand this, I get it. You, like myself, don't want to be told that you can do something, you can do it. And I will tell you that I'm sure as hell not waiting for someone or something to give me the authority or power to do anything. to say anything, to feel like I'm ready to go out there and be myself. Like, I am empowered through myself. So that was one of the big hits that I got as I was reading this, because I could understand and put myself in their shoes. And in my opinion, they do have a valid point, but I feel empowered because it's from within me. So, why are we so obsessed with women's empowerment? Well, again, I see it from a few angles. I think it means to most women that we are not waiting for anyone, and that we want to give ourselves that authority and power to do anything that we want. And we're giving ourselves that power, and we're giving that to each other as well. And that authority and power comes through us creating this community and giving each other that authority and power. I almost hate saying power, but yeah, that authority to an openness, to open up to each other and to allow ourselves to do whatever it is that we want to do. However, on the flip side, when I was reading these articles and I was seeing all these women, kind of pushing it off and not accepting it and saying, women's empowerment, like, I'm not going to wait for somebody to tell me I can do this or tell me I can do that. Like, no, we just need to be women supporting women. Well, in my opinion, I do see that perspective as well. And how does that affect leadership? Well, I think in leadership, if you're running a company or you're working for a leader and they say, oh, we believe in empowering women, I do think you should challenge that. In my opinion, I think this is an amazing thing, and I think we should be empowered, self-empowered. This is my new phrase after reading this and really opening my eyes. We should be self-empowered as women. And am I defining this for the first time for people? Probably not, but that's my opinion, and that's what the show is about. But my opinion is we should self-empower. And I think that eliminates this whole question with women's empowerment or empowering women, and how do we navigate that? Well, if you're working somewhere or you're, a leader and you're not at the top, right? You're reporting to people and they're saying that, we empower women. I would feel isolated in that for sure. I would question that, because I think women are self-empowered, but it does take, from my experience and in my opinion, it does take a really positive group of women around you to help you self-empower through the difficult times. I have been self-empowered my whole life, but once, and I'm not saying that's impossible, like, you can do it, I've done it, we've all done it, but once you find that community of women, that creates a different kind of empowerment. You don't feel like you're alone anymore. And that, to me, is what women's empowerment means, is that you create this group and this community, and you create your positive environment so that you can self-empower even stronger. But I do empathize and I do understand where these women are coming from, because I do think that women's empowerment can be seen on the other side, and it can be a situation where, when we're working for people and we have bosses that don't really understand what it means to be self-empowered, and they talk about women's empowerment, there's really not a dig deep moment and find out what that truly means. So empowering women is a different situation within all of that. And as a leader, it is your job to ensure that you navigate that and try to understand that, and try to understand what empowering women means to you, what it means to your organization or your division or your branch, whatever it is that you run, or organizations that you are a part of and are working for. Because I know I speak to a lot of you out here who are leaders or are aspiring leaders, and that's really important as well. So think about how that is being dealt with within your organization, because in my opinion, women's empowerment is a positive, amazing thing. And obviously, I'm super passionate about it, but I can empathize and understand why I've read these articles and these women that are, fighting against it. Not fighting against it like that, but fighting against the stigma with empower women or women's empowerment, because we don't need the authority to do what we want to do. We are going to stand up and do what we believe is right and really stand for something. And I can see where that could get a little confusing with the wording, and it's something I feel very strongly about, but it's still a very ambiguous thing, which can be why we sit here and think about it. So I'm interested in knowing what you guys think about it as well. But what does empowering women actually mean, and women who empower women? So a couple of things I want to talk about just so we can really understand that, or at least in my opinion, understand it. I think being honest is so important in empowering women, because think about your best relationships as a leader, as a woman, in friendship, in mentorship. The people that are most honest with us, we drive the deepest relationships with. And I really do think that when you empower other women, give them the authority to be honest with you. And when we look at it from that perspective, I think it is very rich and honest and true. Being honest. But it's important. And when we give the authority to someone else to be honest with us, that's how I think we need to look at women's empowerment, is through those beautiful lenses. Again, this is just my opinion. And you need to cheer each other on and be happy for one another. Again, this is the core of what women's empowerment really means. Give each other the power to succeed. You're giving yourself the power, but give someone else the power. I think something that women are very guilty of, and I've done it too, we've all done it, and if you're telling yourself that you haven't done this, you are lying to yourself, is we've compared ourselves, and we compare ourselves all the time. And think about changing that perspective. When you give the power to another woman to succeed, and I'm not talking about the fact that she needs your power, but when you give that to her because you cheer her on and you're happy for her, that is amazing. And that's what women's empowerment, in my opinion, really truly means, is giving the power to somebody else instead of yourself. Because everybody, and I've said this actually since I was very young, so it's funny that I'm light bulbing and thinking about it right now. Everybody has their time to shine. So it's taking that power away from yourself and shining it on that other woman. And it doesn't mean that you're taking any light or any power away from yourself. You just recognize that it's her time to shine. You recognize that it's her moment. And we all have them. And I know I sure as hell want my girls, the women that support me, as well as my superiors, people that I report to, or the people that I don't anymore really, but but my mentors, the people that matter the most, I want them to shine on me and give me that moment. And I want to be able to shine on, the people that have reported to me and do report to me. And I want vice versa. I want that. And I truly believe that's what women's empowerment means. I also believe it's about telling your story. So that's where I think this gets deep, and it really means something, because we as a group and women and leading, but now from afar, it's tough because we can't always look each other in the face and see our expressions. Everything's done through text or WhatsApp or Slack or all these different channels of communication, or internal chatting or Zoom. So, and we're not always looking each other in the face. So giving the authority and power to someone to tell their story. And it doesn't mean that they wouldn't tell their story without us. We're giving them that respect. We're handing that over. And that's what that truly means to me. Because every woman out there has a story. Everyone has a story. But I think when we work remotely and as leaders, we need to remember that everyone out there has a story. Everyone out there has a life. So give them that power. Give them that authority to feel that they can come to you and talk about that. Because I think that's powerful. This goes right along with it. Encourage them to have a voice. When you're an amazing leader, you will allow your people, and you will not only allow them, but you will encourage them to have a voice. And we've talked about this on other podcasts, but it's so important that your people feel like they can speak up and they can talk. And they can speak honestly, because being honest is the first thing in all of this. That's really, really important. But it doesn't matter if they feel like they can speak up and have a voice if it's not heard. So ensure that her voice is heard and that you're receiving it as a leader and that it means something. Because in my opinion, that really makes the difference as a leader and empowers women to feel like they can continue to share and they are finding their purpose and that you are helping them through that as a mentor. But what does all of this mean as a leader that's leading from afar? Because we are challenged more than ever right now trying to accomplish this and trying to understand women's empowerment. Because women's empowerment is not that new, right? It's really not. But I think, we're so intelligent and we're digging and we're really tearing things apart right now, which is good. It's a good thing for every aspect, for our society and also for just women and what we're doing. But I think we also need to remember that there's a reason that women's empowerment is called women's empowerment, because we are giving each other the permission to be ourselves. We're giving each other the permission to open up to one another. In my opinion, this is not a negative thing. This is not. It's truly not. Perhaps if it's a man talking about it or a man devaluing it, I can see it that way, but overall it's women supporting women and giving each other the power to have a platform to talk about the things that really mean something to us and open up and feel comfortable. And I'm a part of it right now, and it's amazing. And I have my own group too that's just an amazing thing. And once you experience it, you know how special it is. So as a leader, I encourage you guys to create that. I encourage you to create a space where women feel like they have the power and the authority to share and to develop these relationships. And to develop these relationships very deeply with one another, with you and their colleagues and the individuals that report to them and so on and so forth. But that only happens in this climate if you're very aware of the remote work environment and creating those stable, engaging moments through the use of technology, obviously, but the consistency, which I've talked about in my other podcasts. If you guys haven't listened to Consistency, check it out. But consistency really drives a lot of this women's empowerment, because when we feel like we're there for each other and we feel like we're supporting one another, we give each other the authority and power to thrive. And not just in these times, but to thrive in a way that we wouldn't have before. And I think that's really important. And we give each other the authority and power that we may have not felt on our own. And I think that is why I feel so passionately about women's empowerment, because it is about creating a positive community. It is about creating something that is bigger than yourself. And as a leader, it is so important to create that environment and to create that open, honest environment, to cheer each other on, to share your stories, encourage each other to have a voice, and then share that voice on whatever platform you are privy to, because that is your responsibility as a leader and also as a peer, a colleague, whatever it is. And I truly believe that women's empowerment is a positive thing. And we need to remember that what it truly means is to give each other a platform, the authority, and the safe place to share everything that we have to offer.
Thank you so much for listening to the My Opinion Podcast. You can catch up on past episodes on the My Opinion Podcast website at www.myopinionpodcast.com, as well as read the My Opinion blog and contact Maya directly with your questions. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at My Opinion Podcast and Maya Roffler. We'll see you back here next week.